grew up in East London. My mum had me really young. She was 18, so she was obviously still at home. And my nan lived on a road called Ordnance Road in Canning Town, which was not too far from Upton Park, the West Ham Stadium. Yeah, so just an East End boy, growing up, playing football with my friends on the streets. Went to school. Went to school about 15 minutes from my nan's house. My primary school, St Jokin's, in a place called Custom House, and then my secondary school was St Bonaventures, which was in Forest Gate. Yeah, so but I got good memories growing up. Good childhood. My mum always said I was spoilt as a baby. All these women around me, my mum, my nan's friends, my aunties and stuff, and yeah. But I just got great memories of growing up like I did. And my mum and my nan always stressing the importance of working hard to try and achieve something special in your life, like they did. My nan worked in a sugar factory, Tate and Lyle. My granddad worked in a meat factory, and they saved up all their money, and they immigrated back to St Lucia. I think it was '95.
Right.
So I was, from a young age, I was always around people who really worked hard and stuff, who never had a lot but always worked hard. So I suppose that's why I'm the way I am.
Great. I mean, you spoke there about your grandparents kind of going back to St Lucia. Did they ever talk to you about kind of what it was like when they first moved to Britain?
Yeah, it was difficult, especially for my nan. She obviously came here, didn't speak any English at the time, didn't have no money, no job or anything like that, and it was difficult. I think at the time she had just the two kids. My Auntie Lucia, who was the oldest, and I think it was my Uncle Rupert. My mum's one of 6. So yeah, it was difficult. But yeah, just that fighting spirit that everyone's got in a family, you know, to keep going and to make something happen, make something of yourself, and that's what they did. My nan and granddad.
Was racism something that you kind of noticed growing up in London at all?
I don't think I experienced it too much, but obviously I was aware because obviously speaking to like my dad, my uncles and stuff, and I've got a footballing family. All my uncles played, my dad played. So they used to speak to me about some of the things some of the experiences they had, some of the things they went through. And even growing up and knowing about the other black footballers who I suppose paved the way for people like myself and, you know, the players that are retired like Ian Wright, Les Ferdinand and people like that. But see the likes of John Barnes. I mean, I watched his documentary recently, but even before I watched that, I knew what he went through. But I think growing up, I didn't really experience too much, to be honest. In my school was a mixed school, St Bonaventures, and it wasn't too bad. Maybe because I had a lot of cousins in the school who were the best fighters in the school. So, but to be honest, I can't recall any. Not much, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Not much.
Well, Show Racism and the Red Card, as you know, work with lots of young people. What advice would you give to a young person that was maybe suffering from racism?
Well, I think if you're suffering from racism, maybe at school, then obviously you've got to speak to the teachers, headmistress, headmaster, whoever it is, because I think that's important. I think they're the people that should deal with the problem. Obviously, speak to your parents, because I think with any sort of like issue, it's always important to speak to your parents. If you don't want to go to the headmaster, then yeah, go home, speak to your parents. Then your parents can do that. But I think it's important that you speak to someone because, yeah, I can imagine it can't be nice if you're going through that at such a young age, and especially when you're young, you might not really understand why it happens. But yeah, it happens. But I think if it was me, I would say just to speak to someone close to you.
Yeah, I mean, so for example, if somebody, for example, was experiencing racism, a young person, and they said that they'd kind of learned to deal with it, but they didn't want to make a fuss about it, what would you say to that?
Yeah, but you have to make a fuss about it, because the thing is, if you don't make a fuss about it, then whoever's doing it, they think it's okay because it will just continue, and I suppose then it will just move on to the next person and the next person. But by standing up and saying something, then you can stop that next person from suffering that abuse. I know it's like at school, it's all, you know, people say things, you're running to the headmaster, and it could become difficult for you, it could become worse. but I think it's important to be brave. You have nothing to lose, really. It's important to be brave, and if you don't feel comfortable speaking to a headmaster or headmistress or a teacher at the school, then you have to tell your parents. You have to tell your parents.
Yeah, definitely. You've represented lots of clubs in your career so far. What is the worst incident of racism that you've either witnessed or experienced within the game?
I think the first for me was when we played against Spain in 2005 at the Bernabeu for England, and it was in a squad, me, Sean Wright-Phillips, a few black players, Kieran Dyer, Ashley Cole. That was the first time I experienced the racism, and to be honest, at the time I didn't even hear it because you're so focused in the game, and you sort of like, is it me? Am I hearing things? And it was a big thing after the game. But I think that was the first time I had an incident. I think a few years back at Tottenham in the European Cup against Lazio at home, when I sort of like the Lazio fans were there, and the ball got played, and I came off the pitch, and they gave me a little bit of abuse. Yeah, it was sort of like it was hard to take, but everyone's different characters. You know, I've got thick skin that you're sort of like, you can do that, don't really bother me, but at the same time I know it's wrong. But yeah, you don't want to be going through that. You don't want to be going through that.
No, definitely not. What do you think then could be done to combat racism within the game?
I don't know, to be honest. I think there's so many campaigns and stuff at the minute. You know, that people are trying to do things to stop all this racism. You know, especially by racism on the pitch and in the stands. I don't know what else you could really do. To be honest, I think all the players are doing their part, and that's what's been done. But I hope it's improving, because at the end of the day, you know, 2015, you shouldn't be, for the black players, shouldn't be, you know, going onto pitch and suffering racist abuse. It's not right.
No. I totally agree with you. I mean, that kind of leads me to my next question, actually, which is, do you think we've made progress on racism within the game? And you kind of said, to a degree, yes, but what would you say? Well,
there's been a few incidences within the last few years, but I don't know really. It's a difficult question because I don't want to turn around and say, yeah, it's been a massive improvement, because I'm not too sure. I don't know. But I'd like to think, you know, at some point it just won't happen at all. So I think that's the main goal, to be honest. So yeah. So hopefully with all the campaigns and stuff and all the players playing their part, then we can really, you know, just get this racism out of football and, you know, in society as well.
Yeah, that's what we'd like to do, definitely. Well, I was just about to ask, what do you think about Show Racism the Red Cards campaign?
I've been involved in it for a while. I've done loads of things, even at previous clubs and stuff, and it's really good. And obviously, speaking as a player, I know the rest of the lads when I speak to the other boys, not just the black players, everyone. All the lads are like, yeah, we don't mind doing these things. And I've seen that there's been some adverts on TV with players in Europe, top players that have done some filming and done some stuff. So I think that plays a big part. And I can imagine that it is helping. So yeah, it's hopefully, you know, like I said, it'll be gone completely.
Okay, and finally, Jermain, I just wondered, obviously you've worked with people from all across the world, kind of playing football. Have you enjoyed kind of working with people of all different kind of religions and ethnicities and cultures?
Yeah, and it's not even something that you think about. As you know, for me, it's not like I think, I'm working with this person because, I don't know, they're Asian. I'm working with this person because, you know, I can relate to them because they're black. Or to me, it doesn't matter because that's how I've been brought up. At the end of the day, we're people. Everyone's the same. Doesn't matter about, you know, the colour of your skin. Everyone's equal. And yeah, maybe that's because of my faith, but that's what I believe. You know, everyone's equal, and yeah, and I hope to think that other people think like that because, you know, it's the truth. Show Racism the Red Card.